Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss about Cisco SD-WAN Fabric Bring-Up. So we are going to cover below topics. First SD-WAN Fabric Bring-Up, then the SD-WAN control connection, then SD-WAN data encryption, then impact of controller going down, then we'll discuss about OMP full restart, then IPsec wiki. So if we talk about SD-WAN Fabric Bring-Up, the very first step to bring up the SD-WAN Fabric is to provide a vBond IP address to the WAN edges. So WAN edges router has the vBond IP address as the part of the initial base configuration. Hence connect to vBond and authenticate themselves with vBond over a DTLS connection. Once authenticated with vBond, vBond shares the IP addresses of vManage and vSmart with WAN edge. Then WAN edge authenticates itself with the vManage and receives the full configuration. And WAN edge also authenticates with vSmart over a DTLS or a TLS connection. And once they are authenticated with the vSmart, they form the OMP peering with the vSmart. And over that OMP peering session, WAN edge router relays the control plane information to the vSmart so that vSmart can learn the topology. So if we talk about the initial bring up, right, first of all, let's say you have a WAN edge, right? This is your WAN edge, let's say R1. You have the SD-WAN control cluster having a vManage, vSmart, and vBond. So first of all, as a part of initial configuration, you configure a vBond IP address on the WAN edge. Then what WAN edge does is it connects to the vBond and it authenticates itself to the vBond. Then vBond provides the vManage and information about vManage and vSmart. Then vBond provides the information of vManage and vSmart. Once the WAN edge has the information about vManage and the vSmart, they form a DTLS connection with the vManage and vSmart and authenticate themselves to the vManage and the vSmart. Then vManage push the configuration to the WAN edge and it forms a OMP peering with vSmart. And if we talk about the control connection, so every WAN edge forms a DTLS connection with the vBond over every available transport. Let's say if we have a WAN edge, we have to transport MPLS and INET. So this WAN edge will form a DTLS connection with vBond over both the transport and get the IP addresses of the vSmart and vManage. Then it will create a DTLS or a TLS connection over both the transport with vSmart and over one transport with the vManage. Then vManage will push the configuration to the WAN edge and over this DTLS connection or a TLS connection, WAN edge forms a OMP neighborship with the vSmart. And then once it is done, once the control connection comes up, then the WAN edges forms a BFD session or IPsec tunnel between themselves. So when the control connection comes up and when we have the TLOC reachability between the WAN edges, let's say WAN edge 1 and WAN edge 2, then these WAN edges forms a IPsec tunnel over each TLOC, right? Let's say if you have two transport MPLS and INET, then WAN edge 1 will form a IPsec tunnel with WAN edge 2 over each transport between T1 as well as with T2. And over these IPsec tunnel, the the data traffic will flow, and that is the overlay traffic. So this IPsec tunnels comes under the overlay. Rest all the reachability comes under the underlay. Now if we talk about SD-WAN data encryption, so when the IPsec tunnels comes up between the WAN edges, then each WAN edge encrypt the data before sending the traffic to the other WAN edge. So how this encryption works is, so SD-WAN uses the IPsec tunnel for the encryption, but it doesn't use the IKE. It doesn't use the IKE to exchange the key. What the two WAN edges exchange the key over the OMP. So let's say you have two WAN edges, WAN edge 1 and WAN edge 2. So each WAN edge will have an encryption key for every available transport. Let's say if this WAN edge has two transport, one is MPLS and one is INET. So for each transport it will create an encryption key. Let's say encryption 3 for TLOG 3 and encryption key 4 for TLOG 4. So it will create an encryption key for each TLOG, right? Similarly, WAN edge 1 will also form an encryption key for TLOG 1 and encryption key for TLOG 2. Then what they will do, as a part of OMP update, each WAN edge will send its key to the vSmart. So WAN edge 1 sends the key to vSmart, and WAN edge 2 also sends the key to the vSmart, and then vSmart push the keys to the other WAN edges. So when WAN edge 2 shares the encryption key 3 and encryption key 4 with vSmart, vSmart provides that encryption key to WAN edge 1. Similarly, when WAN edge 1 shares the encryption key 1 and encryption key 2 to vSmart, vSmart shares those to the WAN edge 2 as well. Now whenever a WAN edge 1 needs to send a traffic to WAN edge 2, it will encrypt the traffic using the encryption key that it has received from the VH2. So whenever a WAN edge will send a traffic from TLOG 1, it will encrypt the traffic with the key 3 that it has received from the WAN edge 2 through vSmart. And similarly, whenever a WAN edge 1 will send a traffic from TLOG 2, it will encrypt the traffic using the key 4. Similarly, WAN edge 2 will encrypt the traffic using key 1 over the whenever it will send the traffic over the TLOG 3, and it will use key 2 whenever it sends the traffic over the TLOG 4. So this is how data encryption works in the SD-WAN. So basically in SD-WAN we uses the IPsec, but we don't use the IKE. Instead of IKE, the keys are exchanged as a part of OMP update through vSmart. So if let's go to the lab and see how the control connection looks and how the this IPsec connection looks, right? So this is the lab that we have. Okay, now this is, let's say, a site 1 which is having all the controllers. We manage vSmart and vWAN, and we have 3 sites, that is site 2, site 3 and site 4. So site 2 having a VH router, site 3 having a CSR router, and site 4 having one VH and one CSR router. So now what happens is, if we go to the WAN edge, first of all, to bring the SD-WAN fabric up, we define the initial system config on the WAN edge. So if I log into this WAN edge and as a part of initial system config, we define the vBond IP address. See, this is the vBond IP address. So once we define as a part of initial config, we have to define something, some parameters like the host name, the system IP address, the site ID, the organization name, and a vBond IP. So as soon as we provide this vBond IP and we have the underlay network up, like if we have the reachability over the MPLS or over the internet with these controllers, WAN edge will try connecting to vBond, and then vBond will provide the vManage and vSmart IP address to the VH, right? And then VH will form a control connection with vManage and vSmart as well. So if we look on this VH and if we check for the control connection, command to check is check the control connection as show SD1 control connection on VHS. So these are the two control connections. Okay, this VH is having some problem, like see it is not able to connect to the V bond, so it is under the connect, it is stuck under the connect connect state. So it until unless it connects to the V bond, it will not be forming a tunnel with the vManage and the vSmart. So let me just restart this VH. So I have restarted the VH. Now if I check the show control connection, now see it has all the control connection up. So what VH does is, as soon as we provide the vBond IP address to VH, VH connects to the vBond, and then vBond provides the IP address of the vManage and vSmart. Then VH forms the DTLS connection or a TLS connection with vSmart and the vManage. So if we check the control connection, see it has the control connection with vSmart, vBond and vManage. As soon as this control connection comes up, and this VH has the has the connectivity, T-lock connectivity with the other VNages, then it forms up the BFD session. So basically these are the T-locks of this VNage. So these are the T-locks of this VNage. These are the T-locks, right? So once the control connection is up, then these two T-locks will try to form a BFD neighborship with the other VNages in the organization, right? So what it will do is it will try to make a BFD session with these T-locks, right? So if we check the BFD session for this VNage, so see, over each transport over MPLS and the BIS internet, it has formed a IPsec tunnel with this VNage, right? And it has only one IPsec tunnel with this one, because this VNage only has the internet connectivity. So with this VNage, it has formed a two IPsec tunnel, one over the transport BIS internet, one over the transport MPLS. So once the control is up, then the VNage forms a BFD session with the other VNages in the organization. Now how data encryption work? So each VNage, let's say this VNage has two transport, two MPLS and internet. So for each T-lock, it will create a key. So if we look, see, this VNage has two keys, right? So this VNage has two keys. One is this one and another one is this one, right? So for each transport, for MPLS as well as for BIS internet, it has two keys. Now this key, now these keys, these two keys, these two keys are shared with the vSmart over the OMP tunnel. So if we check now, these VNages, once the control connection comes up, these WAN edges has the OMP neighborship with vSmart. So if I go over here and see show OMP peers, so see, it only, as we already discussed, WAN edges only form the OMP neighborship, OMP peering with the vSmart, not with each other. So this WAN edge has only the OMP peering with the vSmart. So what this will do, it will exchange these two keys with vSmart over this OMP peering. So VH will send the key to the vSmart, and then vSmart will distribute this key to the other WAN edges. So whenever a WAN edge at site 3 needs to communicate to a WAN edge with site 2, it will use the key that has been provided by vSmart to encrypt the data, and when WAN edge 11 or site 2 receives that data, it will decrypt the data using the same key. This is how data encryption works in SD-WAN. Now if we talk about what happens if control connection goes down, because see, as we already discussed, initially the control came up, then the BFD session came up, right, and overlay tunnel is formed between the WAN edges, right? But now what will happen, let's say what will happen if my vSmart goes down. So if I check now on this WAN edge, I have a neighborship up with the vSmart, right? I have the control connection, up with the vSmart as well, right? And I have the BFD session up with the other WAN edges. Fine. Now what will happen if this vSmart goes down, because this vSmart is taking care of all the key exchanges, all the OMP route exchange, right? So what will happen if this vSmart goes down? Let me just power this down. Okay, if we power this vSmart down, then what will happen is, if I go here and if I check the control connection now, see, with vSmart my control connection is now under connect state, so it is no more up. Now if I check the BFD session, BFD sessions are still up. So that means even if my control connection goes down, my data plane remains up, but it will be up, but the OMP updates are only received from the vSmart, right? So if vSmart is down, the vSmart will not receive the new OMP update. So in order to keep the data plane up even when the vSmart is down, there is a graceful timer, OMP graceful timer in vSmart, that is by default set to 12 hours. Means for 12 hours this VH will create a cache for all the OMP neighbors, or for all the OMP updates that it has received. So for 12 hours, if vSmart remains down, this VH will still have the OMP updates about the other WAN edges. But after 12 hours, the data connection will go down, because after 12 hours, by default it is 12 hours, but after 12 hours this WAN edge will flush the cache and will try to communicate to vSmart again. But if vSmart is down, then the data connection will go down. So this is the OMP graceful timer. So if we go to the vManage and if we check the default timers, if I go, so default graceful timer is 43,200 seconds. So this is around 12 hours. So default graceful timer is 12 hours. So even if the control connection goes down, vSmart goes down, for 12 hours the data plane will remain up. Okay, but after 12 hours the VIGs will flush the OMP updates and then the data connection will go down. Okay, so we can even increase this graceful timer. So graceful timer can be increased from 1 second to 7 days. So we can increase this graceful restart timer from 1 second to 7 days. Means till 7, so we can, if we configure it as 7 days, then even if the vManage, or even if the vSmart is down for 7 days, then also the data plane will remain up. So this is how graceful restart timer works. Similarly, as we discussed that, this vSmart also also help in exchanging the IKE keys, right? Not the keys, right? The encryption keys, right? So these keys also have a timer. So every key is valid for 24 hours by default. So if vSmart goes down for 24 hours, the key will remain, like for 24 hours VH11 will be having the key of this CSR router, and this CSR router will have the key of the VH11. But after 24 hours, that key will no more there. So we also have a timer for key. So if I go to the templates, and if I go to the template for security template, say so this is the rekey timer. So by default the rekey timer is 24 hours, right? And you can configure it from 10 seconds to 14 days. So ideally it is recommended to keep the rekey timer double of the graceful restart. So by default the graceful restart is 12 hours, so rekey timer by default is 24 hours. So if you make the graceful timer to 7 days, that is the maximum graceful time, then you have to make the rekey timer to 14 days. So this is how SD-WAN Fabric works. I hope you like this video. I'll be posting more videos on SD-WAN, so please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.